The wedding. The morning light filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Marcus Chen's corner office, casting long shadows across his mahogany desk. He sat perfectly still, staring at the wedding invitation in his hands. The elegant script spelled out his sister Emma's name alongside her fiancé's, and beneath it, the dreaded words, +1. Marcus had built his tech company from nothing. At 32, he commanded boardrooms filled with investors twice his age. He could negotiate million-dollar deals without breaking a sweat. But this simple piece of cardstock had him completely defeated. The problem wasn't that he didn't have anyone to bring. The problem was that he had specifically told his family he was in a serious relationship. It had started as a small lie, meant to get his mother off his back about settling down. One little fib had snowballed over months of family dinners and phone calls, until he had created an entire fictional girlfriend named Sarah. Now Emma's wedding was 3 weeks away, and his whole family expected to meet the woman who had supposedly captured his heart. Marcus rubbed his temples, feeling the familiar weight of responsibility that had driven him since childhood. Emma was his baby sister, 7 years younger, and their parents had always relied on him to be the steady one. He couldn't show up alone and admit he had been lying for months. Not at Emma's perfect day. His assistant knocked and entered, carrying a stack of contracts. "The Richardson merger documents are ready for your review," she said, then paused. "Are you all right, Mr. Chen? You look troubled." "I need to hire someone," Marcus said slowly, the idea forming as he spoke. "Someone to pretend to be my girlfriend. For a wedding." His assistant raised an eyebrow, but didn't seem entirely surprised. Working for a workaholic CEO had prepared her for unusual requests. "There are agencies for that sort of thing," she said matter-of-factly. "Professional companions for events. Completely legitimate." 2 hours later, Marcus found himself in the elegant lobby of Premier Occasions, a discreet agency that specialized in providing companions for social events. The woman behind the reception desk was professional and understanding, explaining that many busy executives needed presentable partners for corporate functions or family gatherings. "We have several lovely women available for your date," she said, sliding a tablet across the desk. "All are educated, well-spoken, and experienced in formal social situations." Marcus scrolled through the profiles, feeling increasingly uncomfortable with the whole arrangement. The women were all attractive and accomplished, but something about the clinical nature of it made his stomach turn. He was about to leave when the receptionist mentioned one more candidate. "Actually, we have someone new who just joined our roster. She's a graduate student, very natural and genuine. Let me call her." 20 minutes later, the elevator doors opened, and Marcus felt his breath catch in his throat. The woman who stepped out was beautiful, but not in the polished, professional way he had expected. She had long, dark hair that caught the afternoon light, and when she smiled, it reached her eyes in a way that seemed completely genuine. She wore a simple blue dress that somehow managed to be both elegant and understated. "You must be Marcus," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Sarah Williams." The coincidence of the name made Marcus pause. Of all the names in the world, she shared the same one as his fictional girlfriend. "It's nice to meet you," he managed, still slightly stunned by her presence. They sat in the agency's consultation room, discussing the details of the arrangement. Sarah explained that she was working on her master's degree in literature and had taken this job to help pay for her studies. She was articulate and thoughtful, asking intelligent questions about his family and the wedding details. "The most important thing is that this feels natural," she said, leaning forward slightly. "If we're going to convince your family we're in love, we need to know each other well enough to make it believable." Over the next 2 weeks, they met regularly to prepare for their performance. Marcus found himself looking forward to their coffee meetings more than he cared to admit. Sarah was easy to talk to, with a quick wit and a genuine interest in his work. She told him about her thesis on contemporary American poetry, and he found himself fascinated by her passion for literature. During one of their practice sessions, as they worked on appearing comfortable with casual physical contact, Marcus realized something had changed. When Sarah took his hand or leaned against his shoulder, it no longer felt like acting. The attraction he felt was becoming increasingly real. The day of the wedding arrived with unseasonably perfect weather. Sarah met Marcus at his apartment, wearing a flowing green dress that complemented her dark hair beautifully. She had insisted on doing her own hair and makeup, saying that overdone glamour would seem out of character for the woman she was supposed to be. "Ready for this?" she asked, adjusting his tie with practiced ease. The wedding was everything Emma had dreamed of. The ceremony took place in a garden overlooking the bay, with white roses and soft music creating the perfect romantic atmosphere. Marcus watched, his sister glow with happiness as she exchanged vows, and for a moment, he forgot about the deception entirely. During the reception, Sarah was perfect. She charmed his parents with stories about her studies, laughed at his uncle's terrible jokes, and moved through the social interactions with such natural grace that Marcus began to forget this was all an act. "She's wonderful," Emma whispered to him during the father-daughter dance. "I can see why you fell for her. She looks at you like you hung the moon." Marcus glanced across the room to where Sarah was chatting with his cousins, and their eyes met. The smile she gave him was so warm and genuine that his heart skipped a beat. Later, as they slow danced to the band's gentle rendition of an old jazz standard, Marcus realized he was in trouble. Sarah felt perfect in his arms, and the way she looked up at him made him forget entirely that this was supposed to be pretend. "We should probably talk," Sarah said softly, as if reading his thoughts. They slipped away from the reception and found a quiet spot on the hotel's terrace, overlooking the city lights. "This isn't what I expected," Marcus began, struggling to find the right words. "I know," Sarah said quietly. "I feel it too." They stood there in comfortable silence, both acknowledging what had grown between them over the past weeks. "The thing is," Sarah continued, "I haven't been entirely honest with you either." Marcus felt his heart sink, preparing for some revelation that would shatter the evening's magic. "I didn't take this job just for the money," she said, looking down at her hands. "I've been following your company's work for years. Your commitment to sustainable technology, the way you treat your employees. I was curious about the man behind all of that success." She looked up at him, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the terrace lights. "I thought I was just playing a role, but somewhere along the way I stopped pretending." Marcus reached for her hand, no longer caring about the original arrangement or the money that had brought them together. "So where does that leave us?" he asked. Sarah smiled, the same genuine expression that had captivated him from their first meeting. "I think," she said, "it leaves us with a very good story to tell our families about how we really met." As Marcus leaned down to kiss her, he realized that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. The fake relationship had become real, and the woman he had hired to solve his problem had become the answer to questions he hadn't even known he was asking. In the distance, they could hear the wedding band playing another slow song and the sound of laughter from the reception. Tomorrow, he would have to figure out how to explain to his family that his fake girlfriend had become very real indeed. But tonight, under the stars, with Sarah in his arms, Marcus Chen finally understood what his sister had been glowing about all day. Sometimes the most beautiful truths begin with the smallest lies.